guys, Doug here with Hollywood Rodents. I'm going to do something a little different tonight. I'm actually at home. I just got home from the shop, I guess. And I'm going to continue the videos that I was doing on rodent care based on the best practices for the feed and rodent industry from the PIJAC. Again, this is a document put together by some of the best scientists and veterinarians in the field of rodent nutrition and rodent care, as well as designed to kind of give us guidance in this industry without government intervention. A lot of people don't understand how bad it is when the government gets involved in these sort of operations. So this really is kind of our Bible as rodent breeders. And so the last video series I covered husbandry, which basically has to do with their caging, the size of the tubs and that sort of stuff, and I did a rack tour kind of outlining how we do it. Then I discussed the bedding, so I'll kind of just briefly gloss over those so that if this is the first video in this series that you're seeing, you kind of understand what I'm talking about. So the husbandry, they should be designed to prevent escape by feeder rodents, e.g. or a closed rack system. Should allow for normal posture and behavioral movements, meaning they need to be tall enough for the rats to be able to stand up to eat. Should allow access to food and water and easily refilling and cleaning of the devices that contain food and water. Should be free of sharp edges, should be ventilated, should have corrosion resistant surfaces, and should have appropriate bedding for nesting and to absorb urine and feces. Right? The bedding should have adequate absorbent capacity. Wood chips, pine or aspen are recommended. There are only 2 recommended. The paper stuff that you can get, while it does work really well, it's also incredibly expensive when you start talking about $27 a bale for the stuff that'll do 4 to 5 rodent tubs. You start to talk about a lot of money. Anyway, so the next heading on this document, which I linked, I put a link to this document in the previous video. I'll do the same on this one so that you can download this document and take a look at it. Really, if you've never read this before and you're breeding rats, you should have this. You also should have the Gray Book from the USDA, which outlines who does and doesn't have to have a license. If the USDA decides that you need a license for your operation, it's $140 a breeding group. So this talks about the building should provide a barrier to entry by wild rodents and other animals, meaning that a bunch of birds and outside reptiles, outside rodents shouldn't be able to get in. Should have adequate ventilation or air movement, meaning you need some air movement, some circulation, some fans, that kind of stuff. Should maintain a light-dark balance within practical limits. Should have isolation and quarantine area for rodents acquired from outside sources. We have a separate rack in the back of our shop for rodents that come in from other sources, and we only deal with breeders who follow these practices. It also should have a non-porous floors with drains for easy cleaning, which we do. And it should have secure feed storage, which we do. The nutrition and diet, this is a big one. I see a lot of people feeding dog and cat food to their rats, and there's a reason why that doesn't work, or it doesn't work consistently. The nutrition diet should meet rodent nutritional requirements rather than generic animal chow. Should be a commercial diet formulated for laboratory animals or a custom formulation for the producer. Labeling of significant diet constituents, protein, fat, carbs, minerals, etc. is recommended, and should avoid the consistent use of prophylactic antibiotics. Mice and rats in the wild eat grasses, they eat seeds, they eat bugs, and that's about it. They don't eat beef, pork, chicken, lamb, or horse. Okay, those are the 5 main protein sources for dog and cat food. They don't eat fish either. That's another one in cat food. Their system is not designed to process those nutrients. I've bought rodents from breeders before who feed dog and cat food, and they're never healthy. And as soon as we transition them to our food, their system goes into shock. It doesn't work. I understand that there are vets out there who will recommend it, but the truth is I've sold rats to the University of Montana, and I've sold them to Carroll College, and the Carroll College bought mice from us just for the sole purpose of doing research on their metabolic rates with different foods. They have said in several conversations I've had with them that the rodent chow that we feed, or the Missouri 6F, best stuff you can do. Will the animals survive on dog and cat food? Yes. Will they thrive? No. It's not designed for them. The next section in this is rodent disease prevention and management. It says consult a veterinarian familiar with rodent health for diseases and nutritional requirements. Okay, there's feed specifically designed for rodents. Use it. Maintain an ongoing pest control program to prevent or minimize wild rodents for coming into areas where the feed is stored. Promptly remove and euthanize any wild rodents or colony rodents that escape from captivity. That's a big one. If one of your rodents gets out of your cage or your rack, whether it's due to cleaning or something like that, which it happens, you're supposed to euthanize them, especially if they've been gone for 24 hours. If they've been out of the rack for 24 hours, that's kind of the guideline that we use. They get put down immediately. You never know what they could have gotten into. Granted, our facility is really clean and we do a really good job of keeping it clean, but you just never know. Train the staff to recognize signs and symptoms of disease. Keep records for animals exhibiting signs or symptoms of disease or death. We do keep records of that sort of stuff. Isolate or quarantine animals with symptoms of disease. New breeders should come from a source with adequate biosecurity to prevent rodent pathogens. Distributors should avoid combining animals from different shipments to prevent disease transmission. Feed, water containers equipped for handling, cages, and bedding should not be moved among facility units to prevent cross-contamination. Okay, so when a rat or a group of rats is in quarantine, when we move them to our normal breeder racks, you don't just take the whole tub and dump it. We take a tub designed for rodent transport. We use the big black storage containers with holes in them. We put fresh bedding in it. We take it to the back. We pull the rats out of the rack, put them in the new tub, take them back to the front part of the shop, and put them in. Okay, they're now into tubs with brand new bedding. The last thing you want to do is transmit germs or something from one rack to another. Diseases in these animals spread very, very fast. New breeders should come from a source. Okay, and equipment should be disinfected regularly. Next, it talks about the transportation of live rodents. That's something I don't get into a whole lot because we don't transport a lot of live rodents. But pretty general guidelines: it should be in a container marked. They should have access to food or water for longer trips. Anyways, the next thing is euthanasia. Guidelines for the American Veterinary Medical Association should be followed, referred to, and there's a link in the document. Neonates less than 7 days old may be euthanized by freezing, provided that the rodents do not come into direct contact with ice or pre-cooled surfaces. Baby rodents, gassing them or using CO2 doesn't really work because they really kind of live, their whole environment is in hypoxia, meaning it's oxygen deprivation. They're just born. And it says carbon dioxide is acceptable for method for rodents greater than 7 days, preferably compressed CO2 in a cylinder fitted with a regulator. That's what we use. At some point in time, I'm going to do a video series or a video on our euthanasia setup. It's a part of this industry that I absolutely despise. I hate it, but it's a necessary evil. The next part is sanitation and disposal. Basically talks about, just scraping your tubs clean, cleaning them with bleach, disposing of the bedding and animal waste properly. We have a dumpster. We use the heavy black plastic bags. We bag everything, tie it up, and go put it in the dumpster. Pretty simple. The next one talks about zoonotics, meaning exotic diseases. I don't know what that necessarily applies to us. And then there's basically 15 pages of references that cite why these things are the way they are. Again, when I say that this document was put together to be our Bible, or the guidelines by which we're supposed to operate our business, and especially our breeding operations, I don't take that lightly. The people who put this together, the sources cited, are all peer-reviewed medical sources, which is the standard for something being accepted as scientific fact. I understand that a lot of you have a local vet that you deal with who will tell you certain things, but the people who put this stuff together have a whole entire alphabet in front of their names, and I'm not trying to diss your local vet, and I'm not trying to question their integrity or their expertise, but the people who put this together are absolute experts in their field. They are the best there is. So please follow what this document says. I promise you, your animals will be healthier, your operation will run better, you will have less sick animals, and you'll have more happy customers. Thank you guys for watching. The next video that I shoot will be about diet, and I will have a comparison of our rodent chow formulation versus some common dog and cat food, as well as Missouri 6F. I do feel that Missouri 6F is the industry standard. The rodent feed that we're using is very, very similar, and the stuff that we're having formulated specifically for us should be almost exactly like Missouri 6F. There'll be a couple of little changes. There'll be a few ingredients that we're going to leave out that are kind of just fillers. This whole process is designed really to make our operation as efficient as possible. But anyhow, guys, see you later.